Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 19th January today, and in this video we are going to solve different types of questions which are very much relevant for your preparation. You know, as usual, before we'll start solving these questions, I would like to give you the brief introduction about this initiative so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with it. Basically, every day we try to upload this video exactly at 6 p.m. on our platform, and we try to discuss various types of questions. And we take those questions or we derive those questions from various different sources. And on the basis of sources, if we will divide our whole discussion, it would come under three different parts. So, the first part of our discussion will revolve around the questions related to current affairs. You know what we do? Every day we take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We break them down into the simplest language possible and we try to derive the possible prelims questions from those particular articles so that it will give the idea which part of the newspaper is important for you, how the questions can be asked from that particular article or we can say from that particular part, and what should be your approach when you are covering your current affairs. This is what we are going to understand in the first part of our discussion. After solving questions with respect to current affairs, we will shift our approach to the another part of our discussion where we will solve questions from the static portion. You know what we do in here? Every day we take up a static topic here, and we had started with Indian polity. Right now we are discussing the office of president under Indian constitution. So today we are going to discuss the qualification to be the president of India and derive a question on that particular topic, so that it will give the idea how the questions can be asked from these static topics also. After solving questions with respect to current affairs and the static portion, we will shift our approach to the another part of our discussion, which would be the last part of our discussion, where we will solve a previous year question. To me, this is the most important part of our discussion because in this part, we will try to learn what is the vocabulary which the UPSC uses while framing your papers, what are the various trends they follow, and how you can solve the questions if you don't have the proper knowledge, what types of questions you can solve without having the proper knowledge, and also how to implement this knowledge in the upcoming exam. This is all we are going to do in the last part of our discussion. So this is in a nutshell what we are going to do in this video. Now, before we will start solving these questions, I would like to request you guys one important thing, and I believe if you will follow that, it will help you in many ways in clearing your prelims exam. And that is, if you are watching this video and you are preparing for UPSC prelims 2025 or 26, what you should do? You should start noting down these questions, develop your own question bank. When your exams would be near, mostly I'm talking about the month of May. Usually your exams are on 25th May, something around that date. When your exams are there, at that time you would want to revise everything so that you will feel confident enough before going to the exam hall. But time does not permit you to do so because you have to go through CSAT, you have to go through static portion, you have to go through the current affairs of the year and more. You have to go through the previous year questions. Time does not permit you to do so and you feel low in confidence. So what will you do? What should be your approach? If you have these questions with you, you would just revise these questions. These questions would definitely connect you with the current affairs. It will connect you with the static part. It will definitely give you the analysis of previous year questions, and it will definitely boost your confidence before entering the exam hall. And also, as we discussed, what are our sources for these questions, and it is the same source which the UPSC is going to use for framing your papers. There are chances that many questions can coincide. If not the questions, but the statements can at least coincide. Suppose if not the statements either, then at least the concepts which we discuss here, they will definitely come, because these are the concepts from where they are going to frame your questions. So with this, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel. When you subscribe, it helps the channel grow. Please share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative. And please do hit the like button and share your comments in the comment section. Do tell us what do you feel about the video. Is there anything else which we can bring for you guys? And also, if you need the PDF of this session, please contact us on our email ID. We had given it in our bio. We'll definitely share that with you. So with this, let us have a look at the first question. Let's see what we had brought today. As on the screen you can see, the question is related to Israel and its bordering nations. So you may ask me a question here, sir, what is the need of that? It is some old news. It is happening. We are seeing this from last 2 years now. Why we had brought this question here? Because recently, few days back, Israel and Palestine, we can say Israel and Gaza, they went for a ceasefire there. They went for a ceasefire there so that the casualties will come down. There would be no tensions going on for this particular period of time. So let's understand about this ceasefire, how it will be done, and you know how it will be done, and how helpful it would be for the people living in that particular region of the country, in that particular region of the world, and also how it can give hopes to the world trade. Let's understand everything about that, and also let's understand why did earlier we also saw that last year USA tried its best to go for the ceasefire, but it failed. It did not. USA was not able to achieve this achieve this target of achieving this target, that they were not able to make Israel agree with their statements, or we can say with that ceasefire. So here we will understand why this Israel right now they went for the ceasefire and how it can be. About ceasefire here, it would be done into three phases. You might have heard about that. It would be done into three phases, as this article basically discussed the three-phase ceasefire agreement between Israel and Palestine. Will it really work? So this was the major discussion over the article, and there were other related aspects which we will understand from this discussion. First of all, this ceasefire, it will be done in three phases. In the first phase, which will start from today, phase 1, what they will do, it would last for 6 weeks. This phase will last for 6 weeks approximately, which is approximately 42 days. So in the first phase of the ceasefire, what would be the approach of the countries? First of all, what they will do, they will exchange the prisoners in this particular time frame. Exchange the prisoners. It would be done first. Then, you know, armed forces which are located in Gaza, the Israeli armed forces which are located in the different places in Gaza, they would be told to come back. Here you can see the Gaza portion here. Here, we can understand that in this particular region of the country, there are places where Israel has put its armed forces. We can say its military there. So at many places, Israel will withdraw its military from these particular areas. This will be done in this phase. And then the third most important action which would be done, that humanitarian aid will be allowed to enter the Gaza region. Humanitarian aid will be allowed to enter the Gaza region. This will be done for the 6 weeks, approximately for 42 days. This phase will last. About one thing about this agreement, the Israel mentioned that they will try their best to achieve this ceasefire. But if they feel that they are not able to they are not able to bring peace into this particular region, or we can say their interests are not fulfilled, they can violate this agreement and they can go for all attack, as it will finally lead to the breaking of this agreement. So this is the major concern. Will Israel comply with the Gaza? Will they really take their military away from this particular region? And will there will be exactly the transfer of prisoners? That is the issue which we will understand within 42 days, within these 6 weeks. After this first phase will be over, then after 16 days of the first phase, there would be discussions for the second phase, and this is the major concern. In this second phase, they would try to exchange more prisoners. The exchange of more prisoners, this would be negotiated. It has not been negotiated yet, but after 16 days of the first phase, this negotiations will start, where they will talk about further exchange of the prisoners. And one more thing, to search for the permanent end of this war, to search for the permanent end of this altercations which are happening. So this would be the most difficult phase. If suppose we will hope for the best, if it would be done, if it would be achieved, then after the second phase they will go for the phase 3, where they will achieve the final solution and negotiations for that will begin. So till now we are working in the phase 1. Let's hope there would be ceasefire. Let's hope prisoners would be exchanged. Let's hope there would be no casualties for at least these 6 weeks. There would be no attacks, there would be no bumps in that particular region. We hope for the best. Here the author of this article, he raises the concerns that is it really going to work, this phase wise ceasefire? Is it really going to work? Because there is no clear cut definition. There is no clear cut definition where from where the Israel will call its military, in the from where in the Gaza region they will call its military, how they will call it. And also there is no clear definition about how the prisoners will be exchanged. Even though the first phase will work properly, what are the chances that the second phase will be negotiated properly, as there are much more difficult things to achieve? For example, finding the permanent solution to this conflict, this is very much difficult to achieve. And also, if we will see the motive, what was the motive of this whole conflict in the Gaza region? The motive of the Israel for this whole conflict was to wipe out Hamas or to stop leaders. Had Israel achieved it? What do you think? Israel had not achieved yet, even though they had killed the topmost leaders, but it has not achieved yet. So what do you think? Would it work? That is the major question which we will see, whose answer which we will see in the upcoming days, where we will see by ourselves whether it has at least the first phase, what they had thought about the first phase, whether they will achieve it or not. That we will see. Now the another question here which comes to our mind: what is the reason why Israel has went for this ceasefire, as they were not agreeing earlier to the US proposal? Why did they went for that? And the major answer to this can be the Trump effect. Trump effect, as Trump had promised that he would try best to bring peace to the world. He's that kind of a leader who can do it. So this is one of the major effect. And also the fall of the Syria is mentioned. Fall of the Syria, as in Assad's government, that was aligned towards the Iran. And we saw that how it fell. And right now Israel feels like that it is not important for them to uh, still go for this war, because their one of the major enemy is almost over. Then the third important point which the author mentions here, that even though they had not wiped out whole Hamas, but at least they had wiped out, they had killed major of the Hamas leaders. So these are some things, some important points which motivated Israel to go for this ceasefire. Will it work? Will this phase model work? That we will see in the upcoming days. So with this, I hope you had got the basic understanding about the ceasefire, which we had not covered yet, and we covered it today. You had got the basic understanding how it will work, what are the different phases, what will they do in phase wise, in the first phase, what they are going to do. So with this, what becomes important for us is what are the countries which border Israel. We had discussed this topic many times from last 2 years now. Even I had, when I started preparing these videos, I believe I had discussed it I guess 3 to 4 times earlier also. So here let's understand what are the countries which are bordering Israel. So here is the map of the Israel. You can see very much clearly. It is Egypt, it is bordering Israel. Here we can see Jordan is bordering. Here we can see Syria is bordering. Here is the Golan Heights, which actually is the part of the Syria, but it is taken by the Israel. And also here we can see the Lebanon. It is also bordering the Israel. So these are the countries which border the Israel. So I hope you would be very much able to answer this question. Let us see what does the question say here. Here the question says, which of the following countries do not share a border with Israel? Does Lebanon share border with Israel? 100% correct, in the north region. Does Syria share? 100% correct, in the northeastern region. Does Iraq share? No, it does not share. And does Jordan share? 100% correct, it shares. It is border with Israel. And also Egypt shares. It is border with Israel. So the correct answer to this question is, as please do see the question properly, which of the following countries do not share a border with Israel? It is option C, which is Iraq here. So with respect to this question, what is the aim of bringing this question? You should know the geography of the particular country. You should know what are the bordering countries to that particular country which is in news, as often UPSC has asked such questions. So with this, let's move to the another question and discuss that. This question, if you will see on the slide, this is basically talking about the total fertility rate. So you may ask me a question, sir, what is the need of this question, why we had brought this question here? Because the answer to this question is in the newspaper today, which talked about why fertility rates are declining in India. So here is a concern about the fertility rates as they are declining in India. So with this, we need to understand first what fertility rate is. Second, we will try to understand why it is declining in India. And after that, we will understand what are its causes. Here, the fertility rate, in the simpler terms, in the layman's language, if you want to understand what this total fertility rate is. For example, there is a woman, she has a lifespan of 70 years, we can say, suppose. For her menstrual age, which starts maybe from 11, maybe from 9 for some, till 45, for her menstrual age, or we can say in her lifetime, how many children she can give birth to, what is the average number of children she can give birth to. That is the total fertility rate of a person. So here, this is in nutshell, this is the proper definition, or we can say this is the simplest definition which you can learn about the total fertility rate of a woman, how many children she can born in her life, in her reproductive period, how many children she can give birth to. So basically, if we will talk about the total fertility rate, if we will compare it with the earlier data, in 1950s, if we will see, in 1950s, the total fertility rate for a woman was almost 6. Every woman was able to give birth to 6 children. But it has then further in early 2000s, it reached till the point of 2.1, and now it has gone below in 2000. This report which we are discussing here, it is basically about the 2021, and in 2021 it has gone below 2.1. It has reached to 1.9. So this is really concerning and alarming for the nation right now. It can lead to many events. It can be positive for some states, it can be very much negative for some states. Let's dive deep into that and let's understand it. So till now, I hope you had understood what this total fertility rate is. Now let us try to understand why this is decreasing. The major reason for why this total fertility rate is decreasing, if we compare it with the earlier decades, or we can say earlier century, in 1950s it was 6. Why it is decreasing? The major reason to this is the education level. The education level in the youth has increased. The education level in the youth has increased. Men and women, they are very well educated, and when they have this education, they know about the contraceptions, they know how to control the birth rate, they understand that, and they know the value of a child, they know what are the other issues associated with it is not all about having a child. You have to give proper education to them, you have to give proper nutrition to them, and knowing the socio-economic conditions, by knowing them, the parents, the couples decide how many children they have. These are the major reasons why why this total fertility rate has decreased in our country. Social understanding has changed, as the people had understood that it is not all about giving birth to a child. You have to give the proper education, you have to raise him as a good man or woman, whatever the child would be. You have to give him the proper education, you have to give him the proper nutrition. And if you are not earning that much, if you are not able to achieve that proposal, if you are not able to achieve that, then as we are educated enough to understand what could be its implications. These are the reasons why it is decreasing. Now, it might be good, right now, if we will see our population. We are highly populated country as compared to the world. We had crossed China's barrier also. Our population is at its peak. So what is the concern with this? What is the problem associated with it? If our fertility rate will decrease, what is the concern that we have to understand? if we will see our country, the condition in our country, the jobs our country creates, it is very much minimum as compared to our population. And what does it lead to? It leads to the migration. The youth in our country, they are migrating to our countries. The migration to the other countries, when these people are migrating to other countries, you know what it does. You know, if we are not able to create the jobs, the migration to other countries, and we are left with the old age people. We are left with old age people, and we know that if you are left with old age people, you have to provide for their health care. And the youth who would have provided to the investment, they are not here. So there would be much more burden on the government for taking care of these people. So this is one of the issue. You know, the old age people, the number of old age people will increase, the investments would definitely go down. And also higher burden of the state to provide health care to the old people. And also, if we will compare with respect to the states, who are the states which have the highest number of old people, with respect to 100 children, how many old people are there with respect to 100 children? If we will see that data, it is definitely the southern states are topping the list. As we can see, for every 100 children they have almost 6 7 old people. For the north Indian states, it is 38, something around 38, and for the central India it is around 27. So here we can see, as southern India, the population, they were very much able to control the population. But also one thing was associated with South India, their literacy rate was quite good. And if it was so, what had happened? You know, there was huge migration from South Indian states to the other countries, for the youth to get the jobs. And now they are left with the old people, and it will definitely create other burdens which we had discussed, like, you know, taking care of the old age people. It would definitely lead to the lack of investment. And this is one of the reason you would have heard often South Indian states politicians, they ask for the people to go for more child births, to have more children. This is also one of the reason. So with this, I hope you had understood it now, which was the who had released this report, which had said that India's fertility rate has is been decreasing. It is the global. The report is released by the global burden of global burden of diseases and injuries, injuries, and risk factor study and risk factor study. It is this report which has which has given us these facts about how why India's fertility rate is been decreasing. So here we will understand by through this question more about the total fertility rate, what it is about. Here the question says, which of the following best defines the total fertility rate? First statement: the average number of children born to a woman during her entire reproductive period. 100% correct. This is the proper definition of the total fertility rate. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option A. With this, I hope you had understood this topic very properly. So with this, we will shift our approach to the third important topic of today's discussion, that is Svamitva scheme, which we also studied yesterday. Today we will find more facts with respect to that. You know, here the question says, which of the following benefits are associated with the implementation of Svamitva scheme? You know why it is in news? Because, you know, with respect to this, the government has distributed almost 15 lakh. You know, government has now, you know, they had distributed almost 15 lakh property cards. You know, the Svamitva cards, or we can say proper 15 lakh property cards, which has, you know, if we will compare it how many they had distributed earlier. So it has, the number has reached up till it has crossed the crore. So this is the proper idea why we had, this was the proper discussion why we had proper discussion in the news article, why we had brought this scheme. About this scheme, we understood yesterday. It was, you know, it comes under the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. So it deals under this. And you know, what is its aim? Its aim is to conduct a survey of all rural area villages, or we can say survey of all survey of survey of all rural areas. So this is its primary aim. When it does the survey of all rural areas, so how it can help the people there, it can mobilize the assets. What it does, if it when it surveys, it gives the Svamitva card or property card to the landowners. And once they achieve this land, these property cards, they can mobilize these assets. They can go to the banks and they can get the loans from those particular banks with respect to this Svamitva card, so they can mobilize the assets. Which technology is used in the Svamitva scheme? It is the drone technology which is being used in this scheme for surveying. It is the drone technology which is being used in this scheme. So with Svamitva scheme, I hope you had understood the basic points with respect to that. And what are the new points which we, this is all which we learned yesterday. And why we brought it? Because about the 15 lakh property cards being distributed this year. So about this, what we need to learn today, there was a term mentioned by the PM with respect to that. It was a dead asset. you know what is this dead asset? We have to understand this, the term mentioned by the PM. This dead asset is, earlier, what these village holders or rural people, they did not have the property cards of these lands, so they were not able to mobilize the land. They were not able to get the money because of this land. They were not able to go to the sell this land, or they were not able to get the loan because of this land. And that's why it was called dead asset. And this could be removed by this Svamitva scheme. This could be removed by this scheme. So this dead asset, please remember this term. It was mentioned in the newspaper. So with respect to this, I hope you had understood everything which is necessary for you guys to understand about this scheme. It comes under the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Now let's solve the question and get more idea about it. Here the question says, which of the following benefits are associated with the implementation of the Svamitva scheme? First statement, improved access to institutional credit for rural households, 100% correct. Once they get these property cards, they get access to the institutional credit. This is 100% correct. Second, enhancement of rural infrastructural development, 100% correct. Once they get the mapping done, they understand the rural areas. This can be used for the rural infrastructure. Then third, increase in migration from rural to urban areas, totally incorrect. Nothing good with respect to this statement. So with respect to this question, what are the correct options? Correct options are option 1 and option 2. So with this, I hope you had understood the Svamitva scheme and what is it, what does it deal with, and under which ministry it comes, and also you had understood about this dead asset. So with this, let's move to the another question and see what we had brought on the another slide. Here the question which we had brought today is about the archaeological survey of India. So why we brought this question? Because the Maharashtra government, they had formed a panel to safeguard ancient forts. Maharashtra government, we can say Maharashtra state government, they had formed a panel. They had formed a panel to safeguard ancient forts. According to the archaeological survey of India, in India we have almost 369 monuments of national importance. But there are various concerns which this article discusses. Why Maharashtra government formed this panel to safeguard the ancient forts? Because in these ancient forts, what happens, there is encroachment. People are living nearby, or they will enter into these lands and they will develop their shelters there. We would often see, people had installed their shops there. So there is definitely encroachment, and it definitely impacts the environment and ecology in that particular areas, as well as it impacts the tourism of that particular area, which definitely impacts the economy of our country. So with respect to that, the Maharashtra government has formed this panel who will try to localize these ancient monuments, and they will try to safeguard these ancient forts. And also with respect to that, we need to this is all what you need to understand why we had brought this question, what was in the news. Here we need to understand about the archaeological survey of India. we need to understand some points with respect to that. As here the question says, which of the following are challenges faced by the Archaeological Survey of India in preserving India's archaeological heritage? What are the various challenges it has faced in preserving India's archaeological heritage? First statement: encroachment and illegal constructions near protected monuments. 100% correct. This is 100% true, and that is one of the reasons why Maharashtra government has formed this panel. Second, limited funding and resources for conservation efforts. 100% correct. They are getting the limited funds with respect to that. Third, impact of climate change on archaeological sites. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, all the three statements are correct, and from the code given below, the correct code would be option D. With this, I hope you had understood what are the challenges faced by the Archaeological Survey of India, and also you had understood about the panel which was formed by the Maharashtra government, which will highlight what are the ancient forts there. And the main purpose of this panel is to safeguard these ancient forts. So with this, I hope you had understood this question also, and also the context to this question. Now with this, we will move towards the last question from the current affairs. Then after that, we will shift towards the static part. This is the last question from the current affairs part. It is about the SSI mantra, which was recently seen in news. What does it refer to? You would have heard about the tele-robotic. You would have heard about the tele-robotic system. It is, with respect to that, why it is in news, because this SSS mantra, this SSS mantra, it uses the technology it uses this technology of tele-robotic system. This SSS mantra, it is the first indigenously tele-robotic system developed in the India. So this SSS mantra, it is the first indigenously developed tele-robotic system developed in India. So why it is in news? Because doctors, they had used this tele-robotic system to do two heart surgeries. Doctors has used this SSI mantra to do two heart surgery, or to do two heart surgeries using with the help of robots. And the doctors and the patients were at distant to each other at as 286 kilometers. The distance between the doctor and the patient was 286 kilometers, and it was done by the help of the tele robotics. And it has huge advantages. This technology can be the game changing technology. We had seen the burden in our hospitals. We had seen how the patients face these problems when there are not doctors available. So doctors can do these surgeries from the home, but the major concern with respect to this type of surgery is the connection of internet. We cannot rely that much on the technology. Even if there is some lack of internet connection, it could lead to a disaster. So there are some concerns still, but it has been indigenously developed, and it is the first time that much distance has been between the doctor and the patient, that 286 kilometers. So that's why it becomes important. Now through this question, we will understand what this SSI mantra is. Here the question says, the SSI mantra recently seen in news is: first statement, a new missile defense system. Totally incorrect. Third, a national digital health mission initiative. Totally incorrect. A program for promoting traditional Indian medicine. Incorrect. But it is India's first indigenously developed surgical robotic system. 100% correct. So with this, we complete today's discussion with the current affairs. I hope you had understood every topic properly. I hope I was able to cover every concept which was associated with these topics. I hope I had not confused you, but my this discussion has improved your knowledge. So with this, we will shift to the another part of our discussion, where we will discuss a small static topic, which is basically about the qualification of the president. From last few days, we are discussing the office of the president. We saw how it is similar to the it is somehow similar to the monarch in king or queen, whoever it would be, in Britain. But there are some differences also, as we are the republic. We elect our president, but they don't elect their monarch. That is hereditary in nature. And also we saw about the electoral college. We discussed that, who are the members of the electoral college. We saw that what is the quota, how it has to achieve this quota. We discussed that in very much detail. We saw various aspects to it. We saw that what is the way of election single transferable vote. We discussed about that also. We saw that we discussed that in a good detail. We saw that who is the authority who conducts this election. Now today we will understand what is the qualification of the president. About the qualification of the president, it is very well mentioned in the article. Please remember the article. It is mentioned in Article 58 of Indian Constitution. And let's see what is the qualification of the president. He should be the citizen of India. By our means, whatever means he had achieved Indian citizenship, he can be eligible for becoming the Indian president. But when he has achieved the citizenship, there should be no fraud associated with it. So the first important thing to be an Indian president, you have to be the citizen of India. Then the second, the president must have completed 35 years of age, not less than 35 years of age, 100% correct, or more. He can be 35 or more, but not less than 35. That is also one of the criteria to be the Indian president. Third important point, should be qualified to be a member of the Lok Sabha. The president should be qualified to be a member of the president. That means he should not be associated with some crime. He should not be banned to enter the Lok Sabha. So he should be qualified to be the member of the Lok Sabha. But here the question says the president must be a member of either house of the parliament at the time of election. Totally incorrect. He should be qualified to be the member of the Lok Sabha, but it is not necessary that he should be the member of either of the house of the parliament. This is totally incorrect. Then the fourth statement here says the president must not hold any office of profit under the government of India or any state government. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are: he should be a citizen of India, he should have completed the age of 35, he should not hold any office of the profit, which is 1, 2 and 4 are the correct options, and also he should be eligible to be the member of the Lok Sabha. So with respect to this question, I hope you had understood what are the criteria which are required to be the Indian president, under which article it is mentioned in Indian Constitution. It is under Article 58. With this, I hope you had understood about the qualification of the president. Now let's shift our approach to the last part of our discussion, where we will see what question was asked in our previous exams. Here the question is from the paper 2003. This question was asked, and right now I would like to recap you guys. We had already discussed questions related to ancient India, we had discussed questions related to the medieval India, and we had discussed questions related to modern India, and also we had discussed questions related to Indian freedom struggle. We had discussed all the questions related to that. Now we are discussing the physical geography, and we are almost in middle of completing the physical geography questions which were asked earlier. So today we had brought this question. It is very factual. You need to have the proper knowledge about this, then only you can qualify these questions. Sometimes UPSC may ask you statement based questions. Those questions, for the statement based questions, there can be techniques to solve them. You can use your basic logic, but for the factual questions it is somehow hard to use the basic logic. So is the case with this question. For such questions you need the proper knowledge, and that's why we are discussing them. Through this question you will understand, when you will be at home, you will search about these forests, you will search about the options, you will understand more. And what UPSC does, maybe in next exam they will use the same options and frame the different question. If you had read about the options, you would be very much able to clear the question. Let's see here, what does the question say. Question says, which one of the following covers the highest percentage of forest area in the world? What it is it temperate coniferous forest, is it temperate deciduous forest, is tropical monsoon forest, or tropical rainforest? This is 100% temperate coniferous forests. So the correct answer to this question is option 1. So with this we complete today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you had understood whatever we discussed here. If there is any confusion, please do write in the comments. We will try our best to clear that. With this, I would like to thank you guys for staying with me. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.